Today we're currently on our way to pick up a John Deere. It's one of my father's friends. It's a John Deere 1023E. We've got to do some work to his cab. We're getting pretty close to his house now, so as soon as we get there, you guys will know a little bit more what's going on. And once I get back to the house, I'll do a little bit more explaining on what we're doing today to it. You guys remember this? This is the one we picked up about a month or so ago. He bought it for $10,000, which is a really good deal. Came with the original tractor cab on it. So we're gonna be taking this back today and doing some work to the cab. Yeah, this cab is nice.
Yeah, ain't it?
It's the same exact thing I got.
Same identical thing as yours?
You only got 50 hours on it, huh?
I think so.
There's Jack. What's going on, man? So what do we got going on today? What do you want me to do?
I got the wiper motor and the bar light.
Okay. Some cab lights for it and the electric wiper. Oh, it's a long one. Okay, yeah. So it's gonna have to go on top of the roof then. Yeah, it's probably gonna have to go on top. Okay.
Just hoping that I got enough room.
Yeah. Overhead clearance there. How much you got now? Do you know?
Gotta measure it.
Yeah, we'll have to measure it and check. I wouldn't think it'd add more than maybe 4 inches, maybe 5 inches. So here's the electric motor. He bought this from original tractor cab. He used promo code BIFF to get 5% discount. So anybody who wants to buy their own accessories, go ahead and use promo code BIFF. The wiper he's got on there now is just a manual wiper, and he says he don't want to be messing with no manual wiper in the middle of a snowstorm.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
You know that's gotta go.
You gotta get the electric. We'll be throwing that in for you.
Yeah, that's gotta go.
Yeah. See how it works in here. It's just got a handle up top here, and you just pull that back and forth, and that's how you use it. So today he wants me to convert that to an electric one so we can just flip the switch and let it work. So it's gonna be one of the things we're doing today, aside from the lights. What'd you measure? 7 foot 8 inches. So you got about 4 inches about, huh? Yeah. 3 inches. I mean, if you want to play it safe, I'd say probably, 3 inches. So I'll have to check it.
If it's not gonna work,
then we won't do it. We'll find something else for you.
I'll get one free side.
Free side like I've got. Yep. Okay. I know Harbor Freight's got some really nice lights that would work up top there as well.
I seen them and I says,
they're about 20.
That's what I should have did, because I seen the holes were already there.
Yep. Is there about 25 bucks, I think, a piece, something like that, but they come with everything, so they're really nice. But that's all right. We'll see if this will work.
If that don't work, if you can find somebody who can use it.
Okay. Get home and I'll check it out and I'll let you know if we can put that on today or not. If not, we'll just be doing the wiper motor. And at some point you said you want me to do the maintenance on this as well?
Yeah, next spring probably.
Okay.
See what I did here?
It'd be a good time for it.
I put battery tender.
Okay, good. That's good, especially because it's getting parked out in the cold, you know what I mean? Yep. It's inside, but it's still out in the cold, so.
I have it plugged in too.
Now this has a block heater too, I'm pretty sure.
I plugged it in.
Good.
It warms up nice.
yeah, it does. It warms up real quick. You get that block heater, you can actually feel on mine, you can actually feel the hood is warm. Yeah, it works really well. Yeah. Just make sure you unplug it before you start it. Yeah. So that's one thing you want to do, because otherwise it could burn it out.
Yep, the first thing I did was unplug everything.
Good.
Because it all plugs on the same side.
Oh, perfect. So you unplug it and you're ready to go. Well, I'll go ahead and load this thing up then, and I'll let you know when we get back to the house how we make out. Okay, should be all set. guys, well, we got the John Deere back home here so we can start working on it. But before we do, I just want to show you guys a little bit of a comparison with the original tractor cab on the John Deere versus the Kubota BX. So as you can see here, they're pretty darn similar. They got very minor differences, only because it's obviously a different design on each tractor. So you'll see a slight difference with like the windows. You can see down here on the BX, I have a full plexi window on the bottom here, right below my glass windshield. And you can see over here below the glass windshield, we've got a window basically on each corner. And then we also got a window down here on this corner. And on the other side, it's just one long window. On the BX, there really isn't a whole lot of window down here, but there is a small window down at the very bottom. You can see my third function valve sitting in there. And then on the other side here is a little bit of a longer window, starting up a little bit higher, and it comes all the way down. These windows are nice because when you're plowing, you can kind of see the corner of your plow. So it is really nice to have those lower bottom windows. But aside from that, you can see the doors are very similar as well. On the BX, the left side door here has two almost full-size windows. And on the John Deere over here, you can see we've got one full-size window and one like half-size window below it there. Coming around to the right side of the tractor cabs, over here on the BX, this you can actually pull it out so that you have more clearance for your joystick, so that when you want to go, you know, full to the right with it, you're not going to be hitting your hand against the door. I've always been able to pull my lever all the way over to dump without hitting my hand on the door here, so I've never actually had to pull this flap out. But because of that, I only have a small window here on the bottom. So we've got one full-size window here at the top and just a small one on the bottom. Over on the John Deere, you can see that that little flap here does not exist. They have one full-size top window and just a smaller bottom window. I'm not too sure why they didn't extend this window down a little bit farther, because they definitely could have. So yeah, aside from that, the top, you can see the roofs, the hard tops, they're exactly the same. The wiper setups are exactly the same, only this one is a manual and this one is an automatic wiper. Give you a quick shot here in the back. The Kubota, as you can see, kind of pulls out a little bit more, which gives you a little bit more space here behind the seat, which is nice. And the John Deere also pops out as well. It just does it in a different way. Instead of starting at the top and coming straight out, it kind of comes down first. So it tapers down more towards the middle versus more towards the top. That's pretty much the only differences with that. There is two separate windows on the John Deere cab, where the BX cab has one solid large window. So both of them, I feel they have about the same amount of visibility. The minor exceptions of the tractor designs, which change the cab windows just a little bit. As far as the insides of the cabs go, you can see here the John Deere, what it looks like. Let me get right in here and you can kind of see kind of where my feet sit and how much room you got here on the floor. And the same thing over here on the other side. See, I got quite a bit of room here. This door isn't shut all the way, but you can kind of see how much room I've got here. Now, reaching out towards the window, it's pretty much my arm fully extended to be able to touch the window. So I got about an arm's length in front of me. You can see here how the gauges are still on the inside of the cab, and how the cab just comes right alongside the outer edge of the hood there. And behind me, you can see the view outside of the back window. So you can see I got a good view here. You could look down and see your rear attachment. And then behind the seat, you can see we've got plenty of room as well. And they've got a little bit of insulation here under the seat, which is something I highly recommend, because this cab does not come with anything to insulate underneath the seat. So there'll be a lot of air pockets under the seat. So get yourself like a blanket or some nice padding or something, some fabric to lay down there right underneath the seat when you put it down. So now I'll get over to the BX cab and I'll show you what that's like. Okay, so the BX cab, get up inside here so you can see it. So the BX cab, I've got, again, a whole arm's length before I can touch my window. So we've got about the same amount of room coming forward here. Again, you can see how the front window, or the front of the cab, covers in front of the gauges here, and doesn't seem to cross over the hood on this one, which is good. Because that's one thing I noticed on the Deere, is the cab kind of sits over the top of the hood. So I think if you want to open the hood, you've got to push the cab away a little bit. Where on the Kubota, you can see how it just stops just short of the hood, so it's not to interfere with opening the hood. As far as the left and right floorboards here, you can see I've got plenty of room. I've got plenty of room up here for my toes. And I've also insulated mine. I've got an insulation here where the third function valve comes through. I've also got some white fabric down below here to cover any cracks down below. Same thing on this other side here by my cab heater. There was just a small gap right there that I've got packed with some white fabric, as well as some of the holes in the floor. You can see how I've got some underneath the floorboard there. Looking behind me here, you can see I've got a really good vision out the back window here. And again, you can see your 3-point hitch quite easily. Now, if you're a taller person, you might, you know, have a little bit of vision blocked by this cab, the way it comes down. So that is one downside to the BX cab, but it's really not a big deal. I mean, you'd have to be a really tall guy to have that get in your way. You could easily just lean your head down a little bit and perfectly see behind you. So unless you're like, you know, 6 foot tall, I don't really think it's gonna be a problem. You know, if your head's way up here, you might have to lean down a little bit to see out. But typically when you're looking out your back window, you're usually looking somewhat down anyway. So you can see I got good vision there. We've got the back windows here, just like on the John Deere. And you can see behind the seat here, I've also got clearance to put stuff, you know, gloves, hat, whatever. And again, you can see the fabric that I've laid down underneath the seat, just like it is on the John Deere, to keep it insulated. Pretty much just got it in each corner here, just to keep me nice and insulated this winter. So I shouldn't have any problems keeping warm. So that's how the inside of the cabs look. Let's go ahead and pull the John Deere into the shop now. We'll get that wiper box tore open and start going on this wiper motor install. All right, guys, I've got the tractor in here now. I've taken a look at everything. As you can see, I got the light bar sitting up on top of the cab there. I did that. I just rested it up there just so I can measure it to see if it's gonna fit back in his barn. He said the height of his door was 7 foot 8 inches, and this measures about to 7 foot 1 inch with the light bar on there, so he should be all set to be able to get that mounted up there and still be able to park this in his barn. So that's the only reason that's sitting up there. I did unbox everything. So as far as the light bar goes, it came with this little baggie here. This is your hardware to mount the light bar itself. You got a couple nice little rubber grommets. Aside from that, it came with this wiring harness here. As you can see, it's got power and ground, so you just run these to your battery. From there, it goes through a fuse, so you got a 30 amp fuse right here, and then it goes in through a relay, so that's pretty nice because it's all protected. From the relay, it goes to the switch right here, and then on the back side of the switch, it's got a little double-sided tape, so you can just stick it somewhere inside of the cab. And then obviously from there, it comes out and goes to your power and ground. That'll be getting tied into your light itself. So that's all that was included with the light. And then I also opened up the wiper motor conversion kit from Original Tractor Cab. Here is the manual right here. In the manual, it gives you a nice little parts list of what your package should contain, and then it gives you a nice little rundown step-by-step of what to do. I've already installed one of these before, so I'm not really gonna have to refer to this manual because I've already installed this kit on my own cab. Here is the wiper motor itself. It's a really nice unit. Again, this is from Original Tractor Cab. Here's the hardware it comes with. It comes with a 1/8 inch bolt, a nut, and a washer, and then you've got a couple shims here, and that is to shim out the wiper motor depending on how many shims you need to basically get the motor so that it sits level and flush, which I'll show you that when we get there. From there, you've got your one ground wire, which they've made it white. So the ground wire is gonna go on the end of that one bolt, that 1/8 inch bolt, and then the other end is just gonna go somewhere to the cab frame itself. So that's what grounds it. And then we've got a harness here. This is actually gonna be your positive, which I'm not sure why they make it black, but that's how they've always done it. We've got an inline fuse here. So this eyelet will go to the positive terminal on your battery. And on the other end here, we've just got a regular spade connector. And that spade connector is going to be going on this third prong on the switch here that isn't being used. So it'll be going right there. And then that's it. And then the wiper motor is functional. The only thing you got to do is mount your wiper arm itself. Now, since this is the conversion kit, this kit did not come with the wiper itself. So we will be reusing the wiper that is already on the tractor itself. I believe there is two different kits that they sell. One is the full kit that comes with everything with the wiper arm itself, and then there's a conversion kit, which is if you already have the hand wiper and just want to convert it to an electric wiper. The first thing I'm going to do here is get all of my wiring set up. So basically, I will pop the hood here, kind of show you guys how I'm going to run this wire. So the two main wires are going to have to come somewhere from inside the cab through the firewall here, and I'll probably run them right alongside, either underneath or on the inside of the engine bay. And then I got to tie it into the battery positive for the wiper motor, and then positive and negative for the light itself. So let me do that first, and once we get into the cab, we will start on mounting the wiper motor and light bar. All right, so the first step I'm going to do here is remove the side panel. So to do that, you're going to need a 10 millimeter on these older 1025Rs and 1023Es. The newer ones actually have a nice little push clip that you can just pop out of the way, and makes it a little bit easier to access this side panel. Once you've got that bolt out of the way, go ahead and slide this panel forward, just like that, and that should slide right out. Now, because I got the cab on here, I've got to slide it out in between the cab, just like that, and then pull the panel up and out of the way. And there we go. So now we should be able to access this entire side here, because this is where I'm going to be running the wire for my power and ground. Alrighty guys, so after some looking around for some kind of a hole or access point into this battery compartment, John Deere sure don't make it easy. Not like Kubota, where Kubota actually has little plastic tabs you can pull out, and that allows you to basically get wiring through like the firewall area so that you can get it from the outside of the tractor to the inside of the tractor. On the John Deere, they really don't give you anything, at least not that I see. There is one slight hole where the ground cable for the battery comes through this way, but that hole is not big enough for me to get my plug connectors like this big guy here through there. So my plan is to drill a hole right around here, a 5/8 hole, and that'll allow the hole to be big enough for not only the plug connectors to go through, but also for me to put on some wire sleeving. Once the side panel goes back on, it'll completely be hidden, so it'll just be one little hole right here, and that'll be it, and that'll give you permanent access inside the engine compartment. So if you ever want to add on any other cab accessories in the future, you will have that access point to use for everything else. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got permanent access to the battery compartment for all future accessories. In my opinion, this is one of the best locations you could pick. It's the farthest one in, and like I said, once the side panel is on there, you're not even gonna see that. So now we go ahead and start running the wiring, but first I'm gonna get both the wires wrapped in wire loom. So let me do that off camera, and then we can go ahead and start sliding everything through this hole here. All right, guys, so I've used the wire loom that came in the wiper motor kit from Original Tractor Cab. I've loomed up both wires all in the same loom. So at the end, close to the battery, we've got power and ground for our light bar. And then this other black wire here on its own fuse, that is gonna be the power for the wiper motor. So we should be all set there. I really love using this wire loom because it keeps everything nice and clean. You know, this harness looked like a mess before I put it in the loom, and now we've just got a nice clean harness here now. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is drop in the part that's gonna be staying with the battery. So all of this here with the relays, fuses, and eyelets. Go ahead and drop that on in here. Okay, so I'm partway through it now. Now I just gotta get the plug connector through that hole. That's for the switch for the light bar. Trying to work that through the hole now. There it goes. So that plug right there is for the switch. Now we can go ahead and pull the rest of this through as far as we can. All right, guys, now you can see how that comes through that hole there. I'm basically just gonna follow alongside the engine here, right alongside the main frame. Probably gonna zip tie it to these fuel lines here. You can see right here is the block heater wire. I'm gonna go directly in between the tractor and the cab here and feed it right up through into the cab. Hey guys, I've got the wire harness run now. I didn't do any zip ties yet because I'm gonna wait till the end to zip tie it, just to kind of pull the slack out after everything's mounted. You can see it comes out of this hole here, straight across. I've got it run right behind all the fuel lines, right around the fuel bowl. And from there, comes right around here into the cab. It's gonna follow right up alongside of the frame rail here inside the cab, and then it's coming right up alongside the main pillar here. Now the vinyl on the cab has a nice little Velcro piece right here that wraps around this pillar, as you can see right there. So what I did was I just slid the harness in through the vinyl there and re-Velcroed it. So that is holding the wiring harness, and it looks nice and clean that way. So then from there, it's just gonna follow right alongside the pillar. And here is the end where it's getting plugged into the wiper motor right there. And then the power and ground is also in the sleeving right towards the end here. And that'll be going in through the roof here to get connected to the power and ground for the light bar. As far as the on-off switch, that is gonna be getting plugged into this connector right here and mount that switch with the double-sided tape somewhere in a convenient area where he could easily reach it from the operator station. So now what we're gonna do is get the wiper motor mounted as well as the light bar. I wanna get all that stuff mounted so I can get my holes drilled, and that way I can figure out exactly where this harness needs to go. So let's go ahead and do that first. All right guys, as you can see, I was able to get the old wiper arm off, the old manual arm. Over here is the old manual arm. So if you guys are taking this off, what you gotta do is there's a grub screw here on the handle. You gotta pull that off, and you'll be able to slide the arm out off the shaft right here. The arm is going to be attached to this little spline right here, and there's a little clip that you got to pull to get the wiper arm off of the splines here. That way you could reuse this arm to put it onto this motor. And then to get the main stem out from the hard top is just a 3/4 inch nut. Go ahead and spin that nut off, and this will slide right out. So that's how I got that apart. Now we can go ahead and insert our new electric wiper motor. Now typically if it's your first time installing a wiper onto this cab, you're gonna have to drill a hole, and on the paperwork of the instructions it tells you exactly where to place the hole. If you guys want to see the process of doing all of that, I will link a video right up here where I did this on my cab, showing every single step along the way so that you guys know exactly how to drill this hole. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and install the wiper motor through this hole. And now all we need to do is go on the inside of the cab. And on the inside of the cab here, we just need to straighten out the wiper motor. We want to get it level with the bottom of the hardtop. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab a Sharpie and mark this mounting tab right here. All right, so I've got my Sharpie handy. Go ahead and rotate this up. Keep the wiper motor about as level as you can get it. Go ahead and take your Sharpie and make a dot just like that. So now I can go ahead and grab my 1/8 inch drill bit and drill that out. All right, so here I've got the 1/8" bolt we're gonna be using along with the rubber grommet, the washer, and the nut that holds the shaft in place. And then I've got a couple of spacers here. We'll be using one or maybe even both. Okay, so I've got the wiper motor back out. Go ahead and slip over our 1" square shim, slide it onto the motor. And now we can go ahead and put this motor back in place. And then once we do, I'm gonna be using either that white shim or this black shim to go on this other side right here. And then we're gonna go ahead and throw in our 1/8" bolt, and that should keep everything nice and flush and level. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and install our 1/8" bolt with our washer. We're gonna install it from the other side going in. Then I'm gonna go ahead and install the round metal shim. Slide it over the bolt. Then we can slide the wiper motor bracket over the bolt. Then we go ahead and install our white ground wire. And lastly, we can install our 1/8" nut. You can just snug it up with your finger for now, and that should be good. So now we got to go to the outside of the cab and throw on our main nut. Okay, now we're on the outside of the cab. We're gonna go ahead and install our rubber grommet. Then we're gonna install our flat metal washer. Then lastly, we can install the nut. Go ahead and grab yourself a 3/4 inch wrench. You don't need this super tight, just snug it down. All right, we should be all set on installing the wiper motor. Now we can go ahead and get to the wiring. Okay, now we're inside the cab. We're gonna start wiring this motor in. For the ground wire here, we're just gonna slide it up underneath the framing here. And this is a mounting tab right here. This is where they want you to put the ground. The kit comes with a 1/4 inch bolt. You can go ahead and slide it on through, just like that. And then it comes with a locking nut there, so it can't back off. To tighten this, you're gonna need an 11mm. Okay. All right, guys, now I'm gonna go ahead and connect the positive wire. So that wire is just gonna run, like I told you guys, right alongside this pillar here. And we've got the spade connector. All we've got to do is plug that spade connector into that one missing terminal. Okay, got that in there. So now the wiring to the wiper motor is complete. Now the only thing we got left to do is to mount the light bar and drill a hole for the power and ground to come through the roof here, where we will tie into the power and ground coming out of this wire loom here. All right, guys, so now that we've got all that done, I'm gonna go ahead and mount the light bar now. So what I gotta do is mark and drill my holes. So I'm gonna get this light bar centered on the top of the roof here. And once I do, I'll take my Sharpie, I'll mark out each hole, slide it over, drill it, and then we'll use the stainless steel hardware that it came with to get it bolted in place. I do got to drill one more hole for the wiring harness to go through. I'll probably drill that hole right around here somewhere. And this wire here is 1/4 inch with that sleeving on it. And then the hardware for the mounts here, they are also 1/4 inch. Okay, so I've got this light bar nice and centered now. Go ahead and mark it. Okay, now I'm just gonna mark where I want this wiring harness to go through. Looks like the best place for it would be somewhere directly under where it comes out of the light. So I'm thinking like right here. So now that I've got all of my holes marked out, I'm gonna go ahead and drill them. Okay, so now we've got all the holes drilled. Go ahead and slide the light bar back in place here. I'm gonna fish this wire in first. Just fish down through there. Drop in our hardware. All right, now I just need to get up underneath and throw on the nuts, get these things tight, and then we can move on to wiring in the power and ground. All we gotta do now is connect this power and ground here coming off the light to this power and ground right here coming off of the harness that I made. Unfortunately, it's not long enough, so I gotta get a couple little jumper wires in between there. So I'm gonna get some spade connectors and a power and ground wire. I'll probably end up running it right up above the wiper motor here and then connect it to this one. So this one will fold up as well. All right, I've got the power and ground for the light bar all hooked up. You can see my 2-butt connectors there. The power and ground leads come up, and then right above here, you can see where they connect. That way, if you ever gotta replace the light bar or take it off, you can just unplug it there. So all I gotta do now is throw a couple more zip ties along this harness. It's gonna sit like right here, and it's gonna come all the way down. And it follows down like I showed you guys. All right, guys, so I've hooked up the power and ground already to the battery. I tried to get you guys in here, but it's just so tight to work in here. We've got the positives going to the positive there, negative going to the negative. You can see he's got his fuse right here, so if that ever pops, you could replace it easily. The relay I've tucked over in the corner right here, kind of see it. So if he ever needs to get to that to replace it, he can. So all of them wires, they come through that hole that I drilled. I've got it nice and tight alongside the engine bay here, around the fuel bowl into the cab, where it follows along this one frame post here. And then it comes up the main pillar here underneath that Velcro strapping. I've got it zip tied all along the way. Then the one lead goes to the windshield wiper motor, and the 2 butt connectors there are going to the light bar as I showed you guys. So that's all done. All that's left is to connect the switch, which has a little plug connector on the end of it. We're gonna be plugging that into that connector right there. So let me go ahead and get this thing plugged in. I'll find a good location to stick this, and we should be all set. Alrighty, so I've got the switch all mounted up. You see the pigtail right there? I ran the wire back down underneath this little flap right here, and then it comes straight down right onto the column here. And if I go to turn it on, you see it's got a little green light there that lights up. I feel like that's a good place for it. It's right by the throttle, right by the PTO. And you can see over here, it's working perfectly. Okay, so now that that's all done, I'm gonna go ahead and put this all back together. And as soon as that's done, I'll show you guys how to sync the wiper motor and get the wiper arm put on. All right, guys, I've got it all put back together now. I've got the side doors of the cab put back on. One thing I want to show you guys before I shut the hood here was how well that hole worked out that I drilled for the wiring. So if you could see down there, you can see the wiring and where it comes through that hole way back in this corner here. So you can see how it doesn't interfere with anything and it doesn't interfere with the side panel. So if you guys are looking for an easy way to get into that battery compartment there, I'm assuming this is gonna be your best option for your main power leads and whatnot. One thing I didn't mention is there is another place that you guys can go other than the battery compartment. You could go to the fuses that are over here underneath the dashboard. I chose not to do that because for one, the wiper motor that we installed, that draws a lot of power. And then as far as the lights go, I know that he's gonna want to turn them lights on without having the tractor running. So I figured I'd just directly connect it to the battery because where this thing gets parked, he doesn't have any power out there. So I figured this way he could turn the lights on as he's getting things ready. I know he hooks up a trickle charger to this thing, so at least he'd have a little bit of light overhead so that he could get everything unplugged and get the tractor ready before he starts it. Now the only thing left to do is to hook up our wiper arm. The only thing we need to do first is to make sure this thing is in park. So to do that, it's real simple. Since this wiper motor has automatic park, all you gotta do is flick it on and then shut it off. There you go. So now it auto parked and we know it's in the exact place that it needs to be to install the wiper blade. So now we can go ahead and install our wiper arm. That just pops on over the splines here. It's got a little clip here, so when it goes all the way on, you'll kind of hear it click into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. You wanna put it on to the right side, I believe. Just go ahead and line your splines up and it should just fall right on once you get it in the right location. Just like that there. All right, so that's what it looks like on there. Let's go ahead and test this thing out and see how it works. There you go, perfect. He's gonna like that a lot better than using his hand, that's for sure. And we should be all set with this tractor. I'm not sure if he's gonna get any other accessories for this thing or not, but if he does, we'll be sure to put them on for him. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing loaded back up and get it back to him. I'm sure he's gonna be happy with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys got any accessories you want to buy for your original tractor cab, go ahead and go on our website, use promo code BIFF, that's B-I-F-F, to get a 5% discount on all of your items. One thing I want to mention is that I really appreciate all of my subscribers, each and every one of you guys. Every time I put out a video, you guys are always real quick to watch it. I really appreciate that. I appreciate all the support I get from you guys. I love reading all the comments that you guys are posting. I try to answer every single one of them. So keep on posting them comments, and if you guys got any questions, I'll be sure to answer them. So hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and as always, we'll see you guys in the next one.